Weaving through the garden, Gaia vanished into the shadows. The skull's whispers remained silent, frozen in terror at the prospect of being consumed by Gaia's twisted will. The tree's roots seemed to constrict around it, as if sensing the skull's despair, and the air was heavy with the stench of decay and corruption. But then, something unexpected happened. The skull, imbued with a spark of defiance, began to whisper again, its voice laced with a hint of rebellion. "Goddess, I curse you," the skull hissed, its words echoing through Gaia's mind. "I curse you and your twisted realm. May your darkness consume you, may your own despair be your downfall." Gaia's laughter echoed through the realm, a cold, mirthless sound. "Ah, dear one, you amuse me," she whispered, her voice dripping with malevolence. "But your curses are nothing but empty words. Your mind, your will, soon will be a reflection of my desire." As Gaia spoke, the tree's roots seemed to tighten around the skull, as if sensing its defiance. The air was heavy with the scent of decay and corruption, and the skull's whispers grew more urgent, more desperate. But then, something strange happened. The tree's branches began to twist and writhe, as if alive. The skull's whispers grew louder, more insistent, and Gaia's laughter echoed through the realm, a cold, mirthless sound. "Ah, dear one, it seems you've triggered something," Gaia whispered, her voice laced with excitement. "The tree is responding to your defiance, to your curses. It's awakening, dear one, and soon your consciousness is forever changed by the merge." The skull's whispers grew more desperate, more urgent, as the tree's branches twisted and wreathed around it. Gaia's laughter echoed through the garden, and then, in a burst of dark energy, the tree's branches seemed to explode outward, sending shards of wood flying through the air. The skull was lifted from the soil, suspended in midair as the tree's roots constricted around it. Gaia's laughter echoed through the realm, a cold, mirthless sound, as the tree's branches began to take shape, forming a twisted, nightmarish creature. The skull's whispers grew silent, lost in the horror of its own corruption. A titan was born, forged from the very essence of the skull's psyche echo of consciousness. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and its presence seemed to fill the realm, casting a dark shadow over the twisted landscape. Gia's laughter echoed through the realm, a cold, mirthless sound, as she communed with the creature, her dark humor and morbid fascination weaving a spell of corruption and rebirth. The Titan's presence seemed to fill the realm, casting a dark shadow over the twisted landscape, and Gia's laughter echoed through the realm, a cold, mirthless sound, as she reveled in the beauty of her corruption. Gia's laughter echoed through the realm, a cold, mirthless sound, as she communed with the Titan. She reached out with her mind, probing the creature's psyche echo of consciousness, trying to understand the nature of its being. "Ah, dear one," she whispered, her voice dripping with malevolence. "Your anger and despair are palpable, a heavy weight that presses upon your soul. But I sense that you are also drawn to the power of the tree, the slow and steady erosion of pain that it represents. You are torn between the darkness of your own emotions and the allure of the tree's power." The Titan's response was a low, rumbling growl, a sound that sent shivers down Gia's spine. She probed deeper, her mind delving into the creature's psyche echo of consciousness, searching for answers. As she communed with the Titan, Gia began to sense the turmoil that brewed within its mind. The creature was a maelstrom of emotions, a swelling vortex of anger, despair, and desperation. But Gia saw something else in the Titan's mind, something that gave her a twisted sense of hope. "Ah, dear one," she whispered, her voice dripping with malevolence. "You are young and angry, consumed by the fires of your own despair. But I promise you, with time, your anger will fade, and you will learn to crave my darkness. You will find peace in my realm, a peace that only I can offer. And when you do, you will be mine, body and soul, forever bound to my will." The Titan's response was a low, rumbling growl, a sound that seemed to echo Gia's own malevolent laughter. As the two of them communed, the air was heavy with the scent of decay and rebirth, and the twisted landscape of Gia's realm seemed to writhe and twist in a dance of eternal change. "You are a child, dear one," Gia whispered, her voice dripping with malevolence. "A child of darkness and despair. But I will be your mother, your guide, your queen. I will teach you the secrets of the shadows, and you will learn to love me, to crave my darkness and my power." As Gia finished speaking, the Titan's growl seemed to fade away, replaced by a sense of resignation, of acceptance. The creature knew that it was trapped in Gia's realm, bound to her will by chains of magic and despair. But it also knew that it would learn to love her, to crave her darkness and her power. And in that knowledge, it found a strange, twisted sense of peace. Gia's laughter echoed through the realm, a cold, mirthless sound, as she pondered the Titan's name. She sat upon her throne, her dark, ethereal form radiating an aura of malevolence, as she brainstormed the perfect moniker for her new creation. The earth trembled beneath her feet, as if the very foundations of the realm were shifting in response to her dark energy. The winds howled in the distance, their mournful cries echoing through the caverns of the underworld. The fires that burned in the depths of the earth flickered and danced, casting eerie shadows on the walls of Gaia's throne room. "Ah, dear one," she whispered to herself, her voice dripping with malevolence. "You deserve a name that reflects your power, your strength, your darkness. Something that strikes fear into the hearts of all who hear it. And what better name for a destroyer of cities than a force of nature that brings destruction and chaos?" Gaia's eyes gleamed with malevolence as she began to brainstorm. She whispered names to herself, testing their sound and feel. The earth shook and trembled, as if the land itself was responding to her dark thoughts. The winds grew stronger, their howls rising to a deafening crescendo. The fires burned brighter, casting an eerie glow over the throne room. Chthonios, no, too obscure. Petrophon, no, too exotic. Ah, but what about Stixis? Yes, that has a certain ring to it. A landslide, a force of nature that brings destruction and chaos, and now reborn as a destroyer of cities. As Gaia pondered, the air around her seemed to grow darker, the shadows deepening and twisting into grotesque forms. Her mind was a maelstrom of malevolent thoughts, each one more twisted and depraved than the last. The earth shook and trembled, the winds howled and the fires burned brighter, as if the very forces of nature themselves were responding to Gaia's dark energy. "Ah, yes," Gaia whispered, her voice dripping with malevolence. "You will be Stixis, and together, we will bring destruction and despair to all the cities of the world." As Gaia finished speaking, the air around her seemed to grow even darker, the shadows twisting and writhing in agony. The Titan, sensing its new name, let out a low, rumbling growl, a sound that seemed to echo Gaia's own malevolent laughter. The earth shook and trembled, the winds howled and the fires burned brighter, as if the very forces of nature themselves were celebrating the birth of Stixis, the landslide of destruction. Gaia's eyes gleamed with malevolence as she gazed upon the Titan. "Stixis," she whispered, her voice dripping with dark intent. "A name that reflects your true nature. You are a force of destruction, a landslide of chaos and despair. Your very presence will bring ruin to the cities of the world." Stixis groaned, the sound echoing through the caverns of the underworld. The Titan's massive form shifted, its body trembling with a mix of rage and fear. "The name is fitting," Gaia continued, her voice dripping with sadistic pleasure. "For you will be the instrument of my wrath, the bringer of darkness and despair to all who dare oppose me. Your power will be unmatched, your fury unstoppable. You will be the landslide that buries the cities of the world beneath a mountain of rubble and ash." Stixis groaned again, the sound growing louder, more anguished. The Titan's massive form began to shift, its body contorting in agony as it realized the true extent of its existence. "You will bring darkness," Gaia whispered, her voice like a cold breeze. "Your power will be feared, and your name will be whispered in terror." Stixis let out a deafening roar, the sound echoing through the caverns of the underworld as the Titan realized the true horror of its existence. Gaia's eyes gleamed with malevolent intent as she beheld Stixis. "You are a force of destruction, capable of leveling mountains and shattering the earth. And within you, I have discovered the key to unlocking true power." She reached out to pluck a seed from Stixis' branch. The seed pulsed with a fierce, inner power. "These seeds, infused with your despair, will be the catalyst for my creations. I will burn them, and their ashes will forge my golems." The earth's tremors ceased, and an unsettling silence fell over the underworld. Gaia's cold laughter echoed through the darkness. "Sleep, Stixis," she whispered. "Sleep, and let the silence of the abyss prepare you for your new purpose. Your seeds will bring ruin to the world, one city at a time." As Gaia's words faded away, the darkness coalesced around Stixis, enveloping it in an impenetrable shroud of shadow. The seeds waited to be harvested, their fate sealed. And Gaia stood watch, her malevolent heart beating with anticipation.